looked like a jail cell. It looked like a jail cell.
For months, this is where a student at a West Side suburban school spent much of his day, locked inside a secluded janitor's closet, betrayed by the adult educators in charge of keeping him safe.
I wouldn't put my dog in there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The boy just feet from exposed wiring, often sitting in his own urine. His parents asked us not to name the school. They still have other children who go there and fear retribution. But their anger is shared by Tammy Sebastian of the Coalition for the Education of Children with Disabilities. As a parent of children with disabilities, how do you feel about all this?
It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart every time I have to see
They shouldn't be going through this.
No. It traumatizes me as well. It doesn't get easy to see that.
Restraint and seclusion of unruly students is supposed to be a last resort to protect students, teachers, and staff who are in immediate risk of physical harm. But in one school year alone, 14,000 restraint and seclusion cases were reported in Ohio. An estimated 80% involved children with disabilities.
I mean, if somebody did that to me on the street, I suppose that would be assault.
Tim and wife Eva are the parents of an autistic child. They say what happened to him at several Parma schools bordered on criminal behavior.
You don't lock a child in a room. To restrain a child, whether it be by holding them or by tying them down, I've seen many different forms of it. It's abuse, and it's teaching the wrong behaviors.
How did you feel when you realized what had happened here?
I hurt horribly for him. The pain, I don't know. It just hurts to see your son suffer and be basically bullied by adults.
Seclusion is dehumanizing and traumatic. It should never be used in schools.
Helena Stevenson speaks from experience. As a young teen with autism, she was locked up in a school seclusion room for 35 consecutive days. As a young adult, she testified before the State Board of Education, helping pave the way for new rules that severely restrict restraint and seclusion in Ohio schools. How's it working?
It's not being enforced.
Disability Rights Ohio also championed the new requirements, but says there are still gaps in enforcement. For one thing, the group says there are no procedures for the Ohio Department of Education to make sure school districts are complying with the rules.
There's really no ownership at the Department of Education around this rule.
Kristen Hildebrandt is an attorney for Disability Rights Ohio.
The majority of children who are restrained or secluded in school are children with disabilities. But this rule is not a rule that lives within the special education rules in our state. It's a general education rule. So it's left this sort of void where we have this general education rule and we don't really have clear indication of who's going to be responsible for making sure that that school districts comply with it.
The group also says there's no requirement that incidents be investigated or that an agency, like local police, oversee the investigation. In the 2 local cases we mentioned in this report, no school employee was ever disciplined or prosecuted. What I'm seeing is there are just no consequences here.
No, there never is. There never is any consequences. The consequence always falls on the family and the child.
And I feel like my son's life was, I feel like, almost ruined. He's on the right track now, but it's costing him everything because of the actions of these adults.
Helena Stevenson says in her case, the abuse got so bad, she tried to end it all. And didn't you almost or think about committing suicide, or what happened?
Oh, I took 125 aspirin. I tried. I went.
You tried to kill yourself?
Yeah.
Because of this?
Yeah.
Nationally, tragic stories of restraint and seclusion students who took their own lives, like Jonathan King, who hanged himself inside a seclusion room with a rope a school employee gave him to hold up his pants.
It hurts every day when you come in the driveway and he's not around no more.
As for the child who was confined to a broom closet in a Cleveland area school, he's since been transferred to another system, but not before his parents, in a letter to Cleveland 19, posed this question to the principal of the school he left behind. How does she expect children to follow rules in a school if she can't follow them herself?
Morally, I don't know how somebody could do that. Anybody, not even having kids, could do that. Or know that that was not right for any child.